All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Workplace Conversations 9.0. 9.0. This suggests that we've been at this for the past 8 episodes, and it's my great privilege to welcome you tonight to Workplace Conversations 9.0. Tonight's theme is titled The Silent Killers in Culture. The Silent Killers in Culture. We're going to be having a conversation around the unspoken practices that drain performance. You know, you have people who want to work, who want to deliver value, and there are unspoken practices in the organization that drain their performance. We call them the silent killers of culture, silent killers in culture. I'll tell you the backstory of this conversation, of this event, a little later. Just a little later, just very shortly, I'll tell you about it. So you are welcome. This event is on the platform of Nathan Leadgate. Nathan Leadgate is an organizational management practice. Our focus is on 4 critical things. We focus on people, organization, we focus on learning, and we focus on strategy. At Nathan Leadgate, we're passionate about developing capabilities and delivering real value. We always collaborate with organizations to create customized, oftentimes customized, and very practical solutions that solve real-world challenges, that help them to optimize their resources and help them to build sustainable internal capabilities. What we try to do at Nathan Leadgate is not to be that consultant that you will lean on, but we want to be your partner in progress, such that once we help you to achieve a milestone, we can leave you to maximize that milestone, while we look forward to more mountains that we can conquer together for you. We believe that everything we do is centered on empowering people and organizations with the appropriate capabilities and strategies to succeed. Nathan Leadgate owns Workplace Survey, and at the Workplace Survey, one of the critical things we do is to have these monthly workplace conversations about the issues and the realities in the workplace. At the same time, we also deploy surveys to help us understand the workplace and the workforce. At Nathan Leadgate, we provide insight-driven and very practical knowledge resources that includes all of the listed here, but not limited to them. When we do consulting for our clients, we do bespoke consulting reports. We ensure that our research insights are very actionable. We support organizations in change management and corporate transformation. We've done that for quite a number of our clients. We're very big on HR operations and advisory. We do programs, albeit long-term, medium-term programs for executives and leaders in the form of a coaching. We are also very keen on talent acquisition service. We help organizations hire and recruit people into their firms. So we support recruiters and we support organizations that want to recruit. We also are very big on strategy and policy framework development. We write strategy we help to formulate strategy documents, implement them, and at times we support organizations to evaluate them. One of the big things we do at Nathan Leadgate is the design and implementation of competency frameworks. We believe that is the hallmark of managing performance in organizations. We are also very big on facilitating learning, particularly behaviorally inclined learning and development interventions. Our strength lies in helping people to understand how they can maximize workplace relationships such that they can deliver value that is hinged on their capabilities. We also at Nathan Leadgate design performance management systems and help organizations to implement them. One of the other things we do is to help organizations design and develop their structure. So we are big on organization design and development solutions. So what's next about us? You want to just check our website, nathanleadgate.com, for more. We have reached many people, and we're hoping that some of you on this call will consider us worthy to partner with you. If your logo is not on this screen, perhaps you can consider us after now. If your state where you are is not listed here, perhaps we have not served an entity, an organization that we may have served individuals, or we may not have served an organization there. So we're looking forward to serving you. So far, we have trained as an organization over 10,000 people. We have done and conducted personality assessments for over 2,000 people. We have helped our clients recruit over 500 people, and we have developed about 10 or so corporate transformation frameworks, and we have about 7 organizational diagnostic tools that organizations and individuals even use in their professional development. And so we're inviting you to partner with us as we proceed in this conversation. So tonight, before I bring the full hug of our panelists, let me once again welcome you to Workplace Conversation. Tonight, as we welcome you here, I want to say I'm privileged to be moderating tonight's dialogue. Again, we call it Workplace Conversation because it's not a speech or a lecture, it's a conversation. And Workplace Conversations is an evolving series. It's a series that creates space, and I dare call it safe space for professionals, for thinkers, for practitioners to interrogate workplace realities. In previous editions, we have examined leadership resilience, professional compatibility, the interplay between policies and practice. We've also talked about how to manage difficult people. In the course of this conversation, my colleague Joshua will drop in the chat the link to our previous Workplace Conversation videos. You may want to find the time to check up on them. Perhaps one of our previous episodes have answered the question or have solved the issues that you are currently having to deal with. In today's 9th edition, we are confronting an often ignored but very consequential issue. It's titled The Silent Killers in Culture, Unspoken Practices That Drain Performance. And as I bring this opening to you, and then before I bring up my panelists, it's important to address the question, why exactly should we pay attention to the silent killers in culture? Why should we pay attention to silent killers in culture? I mean, let me go back to the screen to show you what we're talking about today. Why should we pay attention to the silent killers in culture? There's a survey by Gallup. There's a company called Gallup. Gallup's State of Global Workplace 2024. They found out in that research that disengaged employees cost the global economy. Disengaged employees cost the global economy about $8.9 trillion annually. Disengaged employees cost the global economy about $8.9 trillion annually, and roughly 9% of the global GDP. And much of this disengagement is tied to what we call invisible cultural factors. There are cultural factors that are causing people to be disengaged, and it's costing the global economy $8.9 trillion annually. This is from Gallup's State of the Global Workplace Report 2024. McKinsey Co in 2021, in their report, showed that organizations that have strong and adaptive cultures achieve 3 times higher total shareholder returns compared to those with weak or toxic cultures. In 2021, McKinsey said, if an organizations that are doing 3 times more than the others are those who have their organization's culture strong and free from toxicity. Maybe one more report that validates why this topic for tonight is important is the one from the Harvard Business Review study. Harvard Business Review study of 2023 suggested that employees are 55% less likely to leave organizations where psychological safety and cultural trust are actively nurtured, even when pay is not competitive. So really, it's not pay that keeps people. Oftentimes, it's psychological safety and cultural trust. So my friends, tonight, the evidence is clear. Organizational performance is not only determined by formal strategies, but by informal, unspoken practices. I mean, I'm speaking about behaviors that are tolerated or encouraged or even ignored. Practices like meeting theater, silent no reporting of hazards, celebration of burnout heroics. I call them burnout experts, celebration of burnout heroics, or even what we call performative compliance may not appear on the balance sheet of any organization, but they quietly erode the resilience that an organization should have. They quietly erode the trust that a firm should have, and they erode the productivity that an organization should have. So tonight, with the help of my distinguished panelists, we will name these practices. We will interrogate why they persist, and we're going to explore practical interventions to dismantle them. Can I let you know also, my friends, that you will also have an opportunity, to air your voice at a point in the conversation. We're going to have a poll. We're going to take a poll and let's see what your thoughts are, what your experiences are. And at the end of the day, we'll have an opportunity to ask questions where the conversation can be live. For now, the first round of conversations will be with me and my panelists. And afterward, we'll open the mic for you to speak to us. Let me therefore bring up my panelists. Shegun, I hope you don't mind. I'm going to do ladies first. Just let's be gentlemen here, okay?
You can go ahead, sir.
All right, Shola, will you come up now? Let's introduce Shola to you. Hello, Shola, are you there?
Good evening, Dr. Lumio. Good evening, everyone. Yes, I am.
Good evening. Let me introduce Shola to you, everyone. Olushola Amu is an experienced HR generalist. She's got over a decade of expertise working with both multinational and national brands in Nigeria. Her work experience has spanned across various sectors, including consulting. She's worked in health, insurance, outsourcing, telecommunication servicing, and renewable energy sector. Talk about someone that has a very large bandwidth of experience. And that I know she's partnered with quite a number of organizations, whether they be small or medium or large organizations. And she's partnered with them to support with HR professional advisory and services. She currently works in the renewable energy sector. So in case you are looking for up NEPA, Shola says don't depend on NEPA or Power Holding Company of Nigeria. Just come to Delight Limited. She's the head of HR at Delight. Am I correct? Did I call it correctly? Is it Delight?
Yes, you're correct.
Okay, so she currently works in the renewable energy sector at Delight Limited as the head of HR Nigeria. She's leading the HR department towards accomplishing a lot of their strategic business goals. She is a member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, meaning she's got the license to practice HR in Nigeria. But guess what? She had a background in geography and planning. How do people go from geography and planning and coming into HR? Well, all join. Thank you, Shola, for joining us tonight, and we're hoping to have a very good time. Outside of Shola's professional life, she's married to Emmanuel Amu, and she's a proud mother of 2 beautiful children. She said that's what the economy can accommodate for now, 2 children. We hope that she can do more, but she's waiting to. All right, Shegun, can we have you now? Come on, Shegun. Let's have Shegun join us. Our second panelist is up. I will not say more than this. Let me just be professional tonight and not let many cats out of the bag. Okay, Olusegun. Shegun, your middle name is Emmanuel, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, sir.
But you are not Olushola's Emmanuel, is it? Okay, so Olusegun Emmanuel Alani is a health and safety professional and currently is the HSC lead at Noble Eagle Industries. And that's one thing our participants here should understand, that Workplace Conversations is not a conversation of HR professionals. It's a conversation about what happens in the workplace. And everyone who works in an environment, a workplace environment, has a voice on this platform. Shegun is a dedicated ESG, HSC, and sustainability professional with a very strong track record of over about 8 years, delivering safety excellence, environmental stewardship, and ESG integration across a lot of industries. He's worked in manufacturing, he's worked in construction, he's worked in logistics, and he's worked in consulting. His expertise spans the development and implementation of robust HSE systems. So if you're looking for someone to help you design, develop, and deploy and implement HSE systems, that's the man for you. He has an experience in developing and implementing robust HSE systems, sustainability frameworks, and ESG strategies that are aligned with international best standards, including that ISO 9001, if I'm not mistaken, ISO 14001, and ISO 45001. Shegun has specialized in risk assessment. He knows how to find where there's problem looming. He's a specialist in incident investigation. He knows a lot about managing stakeholders and engaging them. He's also an expert in compliance auditing. And all of this he draws with his very strong focus on continuous improvement and long-term impact. As an ESG strategist, Segun is one I know that he works with teams just to align their business goals with environmental and social governance objectives. So therefore, Segun, welcome tonight. Thank you for joining.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Good evening and good evening, everyone.
So right now, everyone, the die is cast. Enough of introductions. We'll spend about 25 minutes getting ourselves ready. We'll just wet the ground. Let me just run straight to Shola. Shola, this is not even your first question. What exactly has the workplace been like for you? 2025, we're wrapping up 2025 now. What was your experience this year in the workplace, work environment? Was it a very good time this year compared to last year?
Well, the work environment this year was, I think I'll say it was a stretch for me and for the organization as well, in comparison to last year, especially when it comes to the numbers and a number of dynamic changes with respect to the policies and all. Was a stretch for us. However, it showed me more that we had members of the team who were willing to go above and beyond, work beyond themselves and collaboratively engage with one another. So it made us now have to start thinking beyond the current dynamics that play out and think outside the box more often, because a number of things just kept changing for us in the sector as well. But really, it was a year to stretch for us within the organization, and a time for us to also lean into each other's strengths and talents, which was really a great one for us and the team. That sums it up for me for this year.
So within a stretching year, the year has stretched you beyond where you were before.
Has.
Segun, what was your experience like this year? What was the experience like in the workplace this year?
Okay, so for me, I won't say it stretched me, but it strained me. Because I had a mixture of having to deal with a culture of people who have grown with a mindset in code and was difficult to actually manage. And I think towards the end of the year, I now have a good experience that I just felt that God is comforting me for the beginning of the year. You know, when you set out goals for the year, okay, I want to achieve these, but you now discover that the team that you have to work with now strain you even beyond the goals you want to achieve. So the year has actually been a mixed feelings for me, but I am grateful because I'm having a balance towards the end of the year. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, both of you. And I don't know, for all of you on the call, I don't know what exactly the year has been like. Some people are wishing that the year can end now. Like, oh, I've had enough. Let it just end. Let it just end. Let it just end. Some others are hoping that I wish we had a little more time so I can close it in a more beautiful way. But whichever way, I believe we all have learned, and the workplace is not ending anytime soon. And there's an opportunity for all of us to get into it. So Shola, let me come to you. And in this first set of questions to both of you, I want us to name and frame the silent killers of culture. There are certain things that kill culture. And some of them, a number of them, tonight we won't talk about the silent ones. But for you, Shola, as an HR professional, you are often on the front line of diagnosing and addressing workplace culture. And from your lens, what are some of these most common silent killers that you see quietly undermining workforce performance? People are working, but these things are the things undermining their performance.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Lumiwa, for that question. And it's really important. Someone I think I admire a lot is Simon Sinek, and we all understand his own perspective when it comes to culture. It comes from that human-centered perspective. And for him, he says it's really why people feel what they feel and the way they feel about coming to work. And there are a lot of dynamics that plays when it comes to culture. And we know that we always say the leaders are the stakeholders, they are the ones that embody this culture, they are the ones that model this culture. So a lot of silent killers, especially from the HR perspective. One of them I will say is lack of trust in leadership. A lot of people work in organizations and they find out that they work with people that they say something, but they don't embody what they say. They say something in a meeting today, but tomorrow they go contrary to it. So a lot of people feel lost. Are we expected to do this culture you're whispering, we don't understand it, there's low engagement, some people are resistant to change already because they know that even the leaders will not embody this. And this really, really, really is one silent killer when it comes to culture. Another perspective when it comes to HR, for us in HR, we need to ensure that the competencies and skills of people are enhanced. A lot of times when people go into organizations, the onboarding they receive, the integration also matters. Some people go into organizations and there are no clear expectations. They just move into a role and people just feel you come with the experience and we expect you to just hit the ground running, not understanding the processes and the policies that guide that unique organization. Because really we can't take a round peg and fix into a square hole. We need to understand how those dynamics play in that organization. So a lot of times new joiners just join in and you don't have a very comprehensive onboarding structure that really helps them integrate fully. And some people just get lost, performance issues, and so that's one as well. And with that, some people are not even clear in terms of the role expectation. They don't even understand what does success look like for me? Where are the boundaries? Who takes ownership? Where does my work end? How do I collaborate with other departments? And a lot of times we feel people just get into the organizations and they just work. Another silent killer I will say is that fear-based culture. Some people there are some organizations that it is toxic, really. You go into it and they tell you don't use this staircase or you don't sit on this seat, it's for this person and all those dynamics make people they're fearful. They are not able to express themselves. They have bright, innovative ideas, but they can't even express it because of the fear of, I don't want to say something that will hurt someone and my boss will say, why didn't you run this through me? Why will you go to a meeting and just talk? You can't challenge my decisions, you can't speak up, you can't escalate issues. And sometimes people don't want to own up to mistakes because when they own up to it, it's used against them. And also there are a lot of things. Some organizations, you find out that there's that absence of performance accountability. I give you clear KPIs, and then in the middle of the performance quarter, I change the metrics, I change the game. I tell you, no, this is not where it is anymore. You have to move to this. And that alone also impacts on the culture. You have people who are not confident in the organization again, because really is the organization, whatever you put across, policies are there just written and not embodied. All you have it on a piece of paper. You see the values on the wall, but people are not living up to these things. And really it causes a lot of confusion. People are confused because they don't know what exactly is expected from them. And you have some people where burnout is the case, is toxic. I need you on Saturdays. I need you by 12 a.m. I send you a message at 1 a.m. and I need you to respond to your email. So there are no clear boundaries. People are just confused. People are everywhere. And then you have those cultures. It becomes very toxic. It's beyond the employee handbook. It's beyond the policies. It's for us to embody those culture and see that our people are really happy working in the organization. It's for us to check all those metrics. High turnover. Why are people leaving a particular department? Sometimes we just say people are leaving. I say people don't leave organizations, they actually leave people. What happens when somebody is a star, the person leaves the organization, moves to another organization, and you find out that they're taking out all your members of your key players. They're leaving. They're telling, oh, I need to work with that person because that person brought a culture that they embody, the culture that they enjoyed. They enjoyed working with that person. That person listened to them, gave them the room to speak, to air their opinions, to engage, to discuss. And as I tell members of my team, we spend more time in the workplace than even at home. And if I'm not getting the right support, if I'm not getting the right collaborative environment, I will not give my best in that organization. You won't even get the best from the person. So it's really important for us to pay attention to those little dynamics, enhancing our team, ensuring we as leaders embody what we say what you say, and mean what you say, and also check the pulse of your team here and there to better understand what are the gaps, what are the things we need to work on. As you mentioned in the opening, when you said some people even leave organizations, it's not about the money. Some people actually even stay in some organizations and not the money, because some people just want that peace of mind. And we talk a lot about psychological safety now. It's even beyond the safety of, yes, our HSC and all. But I need to stay in a place where my mind, I'm mindful, I'm fully there, I'm fully present, I am safe mentally, and I'm not exhausted. So these are a lot of dynamics that play, and the silent killers.
Wow, thank you. And I mean, again, naming, and I mean, as a mother, so you have named, I'm sure your children have like 10, 20 names, because all the things they have given us now, there are quite a number of names. And I mean, I hope the participants and the delegates here are just listening and writing. The fear culture, inconsistent leadership, absence of performance accountability, shifting grounds on performance expectations. I mean, not embodying. I think that was the central thing you kept talking about. Not embodying what you have demanded. You're demanding something that you are not a practitioner of that same thing. Toxicity, no boundaries, and insensitivity. I think those are some of the key things that you said. Segun, let me come to you, right? You are in HSC. You are in HSC. The silent killers in your own area are often very literal. You know, we talk about hazards that are ignored until they cause harm. But how does this translate to culture? You know, what are those unspoken practices you see in organizations that put people and performance at risk? Since you are that specialist in risk,
Thank you very much for that question, Dr. Olumuyiwa. So part of what actually contribute to most of these things that build up, you discover that people grow up to grow up to a particular way of life. And before you know, this thing is actually expanded to maybe the community, before you know it, to the workplace. Now, the reason why people persist, why people continue to actually remain in that culture is there are a lot of factors, as some of them which has been mentioned by Olushola, because you discover that people grow up in a way, and that becomes a mindset that they grew up with, and it forms the culture of such person. Now, part of some, like you did mention earlier about hazard. Now, some of these things are because of the pressure that some employees or workers in the workplace get from either their superiors or their leaders. And you discover that ignoring this hazard, let me give an instance. When someone see an hazard and refuse to report it, the next person that is watching this person or looking up to that person sees this person, and before you know it, this person thinks that this thing is norm, and it becomes a part of the person that is looking up to him or her. It becomes a culture. Now, ignoring near miss is actually one sign that actually give, what do I mean by near miss? Near miss is actually something that, let me give an example. Maybe I threw a pen at you and maybe you just dodge it, and I can just say, Will, wow, that was close. That's a near miss. And such things are not reported in the workplace. And that is why it is difficult for us to even have statistics in this part of the world to actually to ascertain what we are actually giving report about. Now, let me give you an instance. Today, we have the International Labour Organization giving us the statistics of about 7,500 people, 7,500 people dying every day. These are statistics from International Labour Organization. Now, that is as a result of people seeing things and not reporting them accordingly. Now, there are a lot. Another thing is fear, as it has been mentioned by Shola. You see, people are scared to report these things because they don't know the repercussion. Another thing that also affects some of this culture is shortcuts. People constantly take shortcuts in procedures because they feel pressure to be fast and to deliver on time. Think about it. Think about an office where staff save time by sharing password instead of logging in properly, or factory where guard is tied down on a machine for quick reports. I have seen instances whereby people get to place of work, write down their names and they write down their colleague's name just because they want to bypass the processes. So these things with time ends up to become an hazard. Now I'm going to conclude this question with this example. The reason why I'm calling some of these, I'm picking some of these examples, some of these silent killers is because I have experience about some of these things that I have dealt with practically. Let me give an example. I have a scenario or at a place or at the workplace, and there was an emergency. And in an emergency like that, we expect people to converge at the muster point. A muster point is a place where people meet when there's an emergency in the workspace. So there was a colleague who came into the factory and wrote her friend's name because she doesn't want the friend to be tagged that she came to work late. Now, during that emergency, we now started having our head count. Then we discovered that somebody's name was on the register and the person is not among the head counts that we had. We have to go back with the emergency response team. We went back into the facility. We're trying to look for this person. And as a result, somebody got choked with the smoke and the person gave up, not knowing that this person was not actually in the facility. So it becomes very difficult to see that people bypass processes, and these are silent killers that actually affect the workplace. So when people stay silent about minor risks, they are actually allowing a major incident to happen later. Silence in safety is silence in performance, is also silence in productivity. Thank you, sir.
Shegun, thank you so much. And I mean, I'm so sorry about that last incident you mentioned. I mean, I like the statement you said. Silence in reporting is actually creating room for an incident that will not be able to be treated. Again, and from that perspective, a silent killer is not just speaking up where you need to speak up. And again, see, you find out that people don't want to speak up because of penalties. They don't want to speak up because of pain. I mean, sometimes they also don't want to speak up because of loyalty. They are loyal to their clients, because there was nothing wrong from that lady saying, oh, the person's name you are looking for on that list is no longer around. It's not there. Then you kept quiet and allowed somebody else to go in. Now, that person would never have died if you did not. So, I mean, again, food for thought for all of us here. So what we have heard now is about the silent killers in culture and across these domains. HR sees it as about engagement, informal practices. And then for you as HSC, Shegun, you've seen it from the place of silence and shortcuts. But in both cases, the cost is measured not only in performance, but like Shola said, it is measured in trust, it is measured in safety, and is measured in sustainability. Shegun, let me stay with you. And I want to ask you maybe a general question. Why do these silent killers survive? From your practice, why do these silent killers persist? Why do people continue to cut corners? Why do they continue to remain silent even when they know the risks? Why do they continue?
So this practice, thank you very much for that question. This practice usually exists because they are easy for individuals, maybe in the moment, and the cultural rules that protect them. The first one, I think Shola mentioned it earlier, is fear of reprisal, getting into trouble. So the number one reason for silence is fear. If an employee reports a shortcut, they might be seen as a whistleblower. And for example, even there are organizations that have policies that governs the whistleblower. But at the end of the day, the whistleblower is not even protected. He's seen as a troublemaker by their team or their colleagues at place of work. So an example is, let me give a real life example, is a security guard who sees a fire door that is opened. Meanwhile, the person that just passes through that door happens to be his boss. And maybe during inspection, the HSC personnel on site came and said, why is this emergency door open? The fear to say that, okay, sorry, my boss uses the emergency exit door, which was not supposed to be used, that he's going to be sacked or he will be punished. Why will you mention my name? So that fear actually is one thing that makes those things to become silent. Now, how we handle it as well is another thing that make people to be silent. Because if we handle it diplomatically, it helps people to actually report issues, to report near misses, to report hazard as it ought to be. Another thing is normalizations of deviance. If I do something wrong today and somebody is there to tell me that, hey, Shegun, what you're doing is wrong. But if I do something wrong today and everybody applaud me and say, oh, you're doing a great job, it becomes a normalcy in the workplace. And this is a fancy term that most people use as an idea. A bad practice is done once to save time. I have been in system where somebody did something wrong and immediately there was a repercussion for that. Everybody in that section sat up. They tightened their belt. So it's done again and again until it becomes a new standard. So when you come, let me give an example. The policy you say must wear, let me say, we set a policy and we say that you must wear your safety glasses on the production floor. But everyone leaves them on the decks for a quick trip to grab maybe one tool or another thing. Since the disaster hasn't happened yet, the deviance becomes something normal. I have had on the course of my experience, somebody will tell you that I've been doing this thing for the past 30 years. Nothing has happened. It is not you that will come and tell me that I should put on my glasses. And I will say this, people, we tend to be more of reactive instead of proactive until something happens to somebody before we can do the needful. Thank you.
I mean, I didn't know this conversation was going to be like this because it's giving me some wild thoughts. Maybe because I'm hearing it from a safety perspective, you know. Again, for those of us who lead behavioral systems, I mean, for those of you who are HR here or admin, we oftentimes don't see it directly like the safety guys will see it, because the hazards or the chances of pain that you see, people like Shola, what you see is, I mean, it's gradual over time. The person is dying inside, but is still coming to the office. There's a makeup on the person's face is not showing. But from health and safety, you go in there, you don't do the right thing, you're cut off. So Shola, let me come to you. And thank you, Shegun, for letting us know why these silent killers survive. And I've seen the question that someone is asking to say, what are we going to do to tackle them? We're going to come back to that question in a bit. So let's just follow this process. So the fear of reprisal. I mean, when I see that I don't want to be punished, or the lack of enforcement, or misplaced incentives, as you said, allowed for normalization of deviance. But Shola, for you, from the HR perspective, what dynamics in the organization allow these harmful practices to persist? Why do they often escape? And I'm bringing a new dimension here. Why do they escape the leader's radar? All of a sudden, the leader has a blind spot and is not seeing these things. Is that, I mean, how does that persist for you?
Thank you very much, Dr. Domina. Okay, so how does he escape the leaders? A lot of times, as you mentioned, sometimes we are looking for the noise. We were expecting to see something heavy happen. But a lot of times it's not waiting for the noise, it's also learning to interpret the silence as well. Somebody who's active, who's proactive, somebody who consistently during meetings is speaking, engaging, and all of a sudden they've gone quiet. There's something missing. It's important for us to also sense it and see what's happening. Recently in the organization, there's a lady that was really high performer, she was really a high performer flyer, and all of a sudden I thought that she became very reserved, quiet, not as outspoken as before and all. Typically somebody would just say, maybe it's just a season or something, but I needed to just find out why. And then I engaged and found out that beyond just the office, she had personal issues. She had health challenges that she wasn't even speaking about, that was even impacting on her. And I had to sit her down to tell her that, one, without life, you can't work. You really need to come forward and speak up and let us know what those challenges are, because you're not going to be at your optimal level and all. So it's really important for leaders to also pay attention to those thin lines, pay attention, observe, see what's missing, the words that are not spoken at all. It's important for us to understand those things, because really, a lot of people, they give their lives to the organization. They work a lot of times. And as you mentioned, people have makeups on, they have clothes on, and then you don't see the things that are going underneath. So it's really for us to be proactive, as Olusegun also mentioned, rather than being reactive. All those little silent, you see someone who typically sends reports and they don't have errors, and all of a sudden things are changing. You need to have those one-on-one conversations to dig deeper. I remember early this year, I had a healthcare with my daughter, and she was in the hospital for quite a long time. I had to have that conversation because it was going to impact one way or the other with my managing director. And I had to say, okay, I can't physically be in the office during this time, but I'll work virtually. And guess what? When I had that leverage, I would stay up sometimes 2, 3 a.m. in the hospital just to ensure that I ensure those deliveries were done. Why? Because I saw that the organization also met me halfway. They were really also involved in ensuring that this season I'm in, I pass through it, and they are supportive. So it's really important for us to have that human-centered nature and not just, we're not looking at just performance, the outcome, but we also understand the process as well. It's also important because a lot of times we might not see it based on conversations. We also need to look at data as well. Data, scientifically driven, data driven. We need to have those pulse surveys. Sometimes just send a stay interview. There's nothing wrong in having a stay interview to even better understand, why are people even staying in my organization? What is really working? Where are the gaps? We recently conducted one and we found out that there was a particular department people were consistently leaving. We needed to find out what's happening. Let's deep dive inside. What's the challenge? We found out there was talk of, okay, workload. I was the call center team. They felt the hours were too long. There were a number of things. And we had to sit down as an organization to say, okay, these are genuine reasons. Yes, we know work has increased. What can we do? Are we going to increase manpower? Are we going to increase the shifts? And it did better. Over time, we found out that people started giving feedback. Oh, yes, it's better. Hours are fine and all. So it's really important for us not to be reactive, but also deep dive and have those those metrics to even better understand, to get the pulse of the organization, to even listen. We have the grapevines, the people who talk, the ones that will come to you and say things. In as much as, yes, we feel that, yes, a lot of people talk, but we should also genuinely deep dive into what are their concerns, what are the pain points that they have. Let's find out more and not just leave it at surface level. We have exit interviews. Number of times, some people just have exit interviews for exit interviews. Do we even analyze the exit interviews to even find out further? Was there a bad leader? Because recently somebody left and the guy was very fantastic in onboarding and left, and all of a sudden we had a chat. What happened? And he said, my line manager frustrated me. We wouldn't have gotten that feedback because he won't write it in the exit interview. He said he wasn't clear. My line manager wasn't clear in terms of expectations. He will say this, tomorrow he will change it and all. And we needed, after I left, that was a cause of concern. We won't do that again. We needed to find out what the issues were, find out the gaps from the leader, and also tell his own line manager to hold and do a lot of coaching so that the next person that joins this team will not have that same experience. So it's in all those little subtle things. We need to deep dive. Sometimes can be a lot of work, but guess what? We need to ensure that we don't have a huge rot at the end of the day when we quickly and proactively engage with those things and provide solutions. So it's really key for leaders to be proactive, pay attention to those little subtle signals, and quickly and proactively provide interventions to close those gaps.
Is anybody thinking about a master class? Are we not having a master class rather than a conversation here? Because these panelists of mine are dropping, I don't know. I mean, they are dropping very hot stuff here. I mean, does anybody feel what I'm feeling? This room is too quiet. I mean, is this not a master class? I suspect that you're dropping very, very strong points here, Shola. It's amazing how, yes, I mean, I can see the emojis. Thank you very much for validating what I just said. I mean, great. Thank you. So silent killers, both of you have said this, and silent killers actually thrive because it is safe for the individual, but costly to the organization. So it's safe for me, and then it will cost the organization. The reason is, as long as it is safe for me, I will continue to do it. And I think that's why it continues to thrive. When leaders also, like Shola said, have blind spots, they don't check. They allow things to just pass. They allow things to just pass. And that's why sometimes some of these things also thrive. Maybe one other thing I have noticed is fatigue. People are even tired of reporting. I mean, I've been reporting, nothing is changing. So, I mean, I beg, if it's going to spoil, let it spoil. If it's going to that, I mean, it's not my father's business. You hear people say things like, not my father's business. I've been calling for this. I'm tired. And then it goes. Sometimes these things thrive because there is no intervention to issues that are being raised. Shola, I like what you said about being sensitive to people who previously were active, and all of a sudden they are not active. In fact, what you said that really thrilled me was somebody who consistently sends reports without errors now is sending a report that is full of errors. We should know something has gone wrong. Rather than say, oh, it looks like you are getting distracted here, you're not paying attention to details anymore. This person doesn't have this reputation. It's important that they begin to check these things. I mean, thank you very much, both of you, and I'm really grateful for you. It's time to give the room to those who are here on the call. We're going to run a poll right now. I'm going to run a poll right now. And just before the poll, thank you, Joshua. Joshua has dropped a link in the chat, and the link is to the previous 8 editions of the Workplace Conversation. You can just pick up the link. It's in the chat there. Take your time. We're getting to the holiday season. And so you may want to have this as one of the many things you want to go through to prepare you ahead of the new year. What is happening? What has happened in the workplace this year? What have we addressed? And what exactly is happening? Okay, so let's have a poll. I'm going to drop a poll right now very shortly. And I want you to please participate in this poll. You should be seeing the poll now. Can you confirm you can see it? Okay, the poll is up. Can I have you please respond? Which of these silent practices most undermines performance in your own workplace? We're giving you a room to speak. Let's even know what's happening here. My God. Thank you for all those who have completed. About 9% have completed, 13%. 16% of the people have completed. Please take the poll. I'm going to be sharing the results. It's amazing what is happening here. The things that are causing The poll is up for everyone to see. Just one question. Yes, just one question. About 50% of those on the call have already taken it. Just one poll. There's currently a tie between three factors. There's currently a tie between three factors.
We have a difference.
There's a difference now, right? Okay. Yeah. Homer is asking, say, how about if the silent killers are not silent in some organizations? Some managers are toxic and everyone knows about it, but the organization can't let them go because of their massive results. So I got to know this question when you get to the Q&A. We'll look at that question. Omar, I'm going to look at that question and come back to it. Let me find out. Precious, have you seen the poll now? Hope and Precious, have you been able to see the poll now? Kazim, the poll is out there. Yes. Oh, Chikodi said the major one in my organization is not mentioned. Can you private chat me with the major one in your organization? Just private chat me so we can have it. I have a few more people that I need to take the poll, except you are sleeping on this call. Oh. You should not be sleeping on this call. You should not be sleeping on this call. So I have just about 62% of the people here have taken the poll. Homer can access it. How come? Others can. Others can. Ayomide Tugbeshe, have you taken the poll? David, Mr. David, have you taken it? Have you answered the question? Vera said sleep kid. This is a very important topic. Okay. Thank you for not sleeping, Vera. We're expecting you to take the poll. It shouldn't be long. I actually thought under 2 minutes will be done. But well, for the sake of time, I might just have to cut it short. Maybe I'll just give you 1 more minute to take the poll. Which of these silent killers or these silent practices most undermines performance? Okay. Thank you. We got 68%. If we hit 70%, I think that should be an A, right? In Nigerian standard, academic standard, 70% is A. So maybe 2 more people should help us complete the poll and we can reach an A. Okay, I think they heard me very quickly and they have responded. Okay, so let's close the poll. Let's close the poll. And here we close it. I'm going to share the results on the screen. Please confirm that you can see the results. Can you see the results? Yes, you can. Thank you, David. So the result says that performative compliance policies observed on paper and ignored in practice. So that's the greatest cause or the silent, the one that undermines performance. I mean, like somebody said to me today, that many people who lead, they always say, do as I say, not do as I do. Do as I say, but not do as I do. Okay, Israel says audio policy. The way we say audio money in Nigeria is audio policy. This policy does not exist. Okay, the second in the order there says silence contracts. Silence contracts, meaning fear of speaking up. People are afraid to speak up. And then the third for some people is meeting theater. Meetings without outcomes. We'll just be gathering to talk about the issue, gathering and gathering and gathering. We'll come back again next week. We'll come back again the next month, and we're still talking about lateness. We're talking about toxicity. Yes, we don't do anything about it. And then cutting corners, the shortcut culture. People have said here that the least practice that undermines performance is hero syndrome, celebrating burnout rescues. Thank you all for sharing your thoughts on this. We're grateful for your thoughts. Let me use this opportunity, this point in this conversation to acknowledge. I can see her on the call. She was one of our panelists a few months ago. She is the head of HR and legal services for Integrated Dairies Limited. Olusola, she was the head of the HR of the company you served as an assessor for 2 years ago. So that assessment that we did then. So Helen Ejaidu is here. I almost said Helen Ejaidu, PhD. Helen, how are you? Good evening. And thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you, Helen. Let me also specially recognize Esther Adeyoju. Esther Adeyoju, apparently, I'm not sure if this is her 9th time coming here. Esther, you've been coming for our workplace conversion for a long time now. Esther is the head of corporate communications for the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria. Esther, thank you also for coming in tonight. Thank you. All right, haven't done that. Let's try to wrap up now. Shola, let me come back to you because we need to wrap this up. And ladies and gentlemen, why do we do workplace conversations on Sunday evenings? So that when you close out from here now, you go to rest. This is the freshest thing in your mind as you approach the workplace tomorrow morning, Monday morning. We don't do it on Fridays so that you don't take it to a party. You don't take the insights to a party or you take it to church on a Sunday or somewhere else. We do it on Sunday night so that by the time you wake up in the morning, the freshest thing on your mind are the recommendations and suggestions from this kind of conversation. I want to thank our panelists so far. You've made this a very important one. While we are still holding on to Homer's question, we'll come back to it. Of course, the list is inconclusive. We just had that one for a poll. Thank you so much, Adogo. Thank you. So Shola, over to you. I want to ask you, if you had to advise leadership, if you had to advise them, I mean, I know you've mentioned a bit of this before now. If you had to advise leadership, how can they begin to diagnose these silent practices? What signals should they be paying attention to?
Okay, thank you very much, Tolumiwa. Okay, so I think it's important for us to put structures in place that will ensure that we're getting data. And it's important to get data that helps us understand the gaps, the challenges we currently have within the organization. I know I talked about the stay interview. It's something that we really should do. We shouldn't just wait till someone says they're exiting before we now have an exit interview. We should also understand, why are you even still staying with us? What's the value proposition that is making you stay with us? Why are you still with us? To better understand the gaps that are still there that we need to address. It's also important for organizations to have employee engagement surveys. I will advise you get it externally done so people do not feel there's some form of bias in it. And then once you have the results, have that unpacking session. For our organization, we do this annually, and we have an employee engagement survey where we have external contractors come deploy this. Every staff has a link unique to them. They answer questions, and it really helps us. Sometimes we've done better the year before in some places, and then the result this year just makes us like, at what point? And what we typically do is that we even unpack it. Unpacking it means we deep dive to departments. We deep dive to the competencies that we've mentioned so that we better understand what are the gaps. This year, we saw gaps in terms of some little things that we had closed out last year, or maybe we felt we had a win there and we felt we had gone forward. But we found out we were coming back to it. And it just showed us that data was giving us where to look into. It's also important to have 360-degree leadership feedback. Let people give genuine feedback in terms of what the gaps are in terms of leadership as well. It's also important for us to have those one-on-one conversation. Go to the shop floor, walk around, discuss with people. We always talk about having an open door policy. Yes, it's not the door that is left ajar, but sometimes you have the open door policy, but people come to your office, but you look at them, I'm busy, what do you want? That alone has pushed them away. So you need to also go there, go to them individually to even find out what are your pain points, engage with them, discuss with them. A lot of times we have a lot of things on our plates and we don't have time to work. But it's really important that we put this into consideration and ensure that Olusegun talked about a whistleblower. Some organizations don't even have a policy that has to do with whistleblowing, where people's identity are protected. Because some people say, I don't want to come out and talk, before they'll say it's me that said this thing. There has to be a policy that guides your whistleblowing. Let them send emails anonymously and then you investigate further. It helps you protect them so people can come out and say the truth when things happen. And it's important for us to proactively close out those gaps. You shouldn't do an employee engagement that you already have the result you've unpacked, and then 6 months into it, people talk about, okay, our laptops are outdated, the software have run out, but I'm not able to effectively work and all. And then in the new year, we're deploying another engagement survey, and we've not solved the last issue that we raised. People now think it's a joke. They just feel like just doing it so that we tick the boxes, the board, shareholders and compliance. And when we send, yes, we have done employee engagement survey, yes, done. So we also need to be proactive in ensuring those gaps are closed promptly and quickly, so that the next time you ask for feedback, they give it to you genuinely, knowing that when we give feedback, management, the team are quick and proactive enough to close it out. And all, we had a situation where we found out that the health insurance plan we had was not conducive. People were complaining, and we put a check round and found out it was poor. It wasn't giving them the value they needed. A lot of times we were paying out of pocket, and we had to say, okay, we need to do something to it. Will it cost the organization? Yes, it will. But will it reduce the time of people saying, I'm sick, the hospital here is not providing anything for another one? Yeah, and a lot of time, the lost man hours are being covered. People are paying attention because their health is managed and covered. Those little things, we really need to look at it and pay attention to it and ensure that we close those gaps promptly, proactively, and listen to those pain points members of our team and raise, and look for structural ways to ensure we're consistently getting feedback from members of our team, and also proactively answering and providing solutions to those gaps we've identified.
Amazing. That's a long list of suggestions that you've given to us. A long list, from pulse surveys to engagement data to HR analytics, all of those critical elements. I think Emilia has said in the chat that one thing that she's taking away is stay interviews. And I think it's not very common, Shegun. It's not very common to have organizations do stay interviews and ask people, why have you not gone? It's not very common to ask people, why have you not gone? Why are you still here? Is it because it's close to your house? Why have you not gone? You know, I think that's good. Thank you so much, Shola, for that. For Shegun, over to you right now. And once diagnosed, what interventions? You know, you've talked about what they are and why they have continued. Now, once you diagnose it, I want to ask you, what interventions have you found very effective in dismantling these silent killers in culture? What have you found effective?
Okay, thank you, Doctor, for this particular one. It's one thing to actually identify some of these issues. It's another thing to give recommendations. But I'm going to be listing those that I have applied, that I know they have worked effectively. The first one is about confidential reporting.
Okay.
If we have issues without fear of their name, having a third party to ask things anonymously helps very well, and it gives. Additionally to what Olushola has said, it's as regards to add to what she said, is I want to say training. There is what I call psychological safety training. You need to teach the people, sorry for that glitch, you need to teach the people how to speak up. Because sometimes silence is not fear, it is the lack of even the skill. I've seen instances where people, it's not because they are scared to speak, but they don't even know how to speak. So sometimes you discover that people have identified that thing.
We're going to draw this value from you. Don't worry. Nigeria.
But how I become a problem for such person? So we need to train people psychologically. I call it psychological safety training. How to respectfully challenge unsafe behaviors. How to escalate concern. How to communicate during conflict, and how to give feedback positively, such that even the person that I'm giving this feedback to, we accept it and we embrace it. Another thing that I have done that actually still work for me is reward system for reporting. There is a system and procedure that I developed in some of the previous workplace that I have. The highest department that report unsafe act and unsafe condition, a reward system is we work in hand with the HR department, and instead of rewarding the hero who fixes the problem, we celebrate the person who prevents these things. Now, when we talk about reward system, we're not talking about buying so a gift to give this person. No, it's to even call out the employee and celebrate him or her. Or maybe we just print the employee's picture on an A4 paper. We say a safety hero for the week or a safety hero for the month. And all this can actually be done by monthly recognition for near miss reporting, safety or quality improvement report, then public appreciation for raising issues early. Another thing that I want to talk is strengthening our processes, not just the people, fixing the root cause. I am keen in identifying the root cause of that thing. Silent killers often grow because the systems are weak. So we need to fix policies. We need to simplify workplace. Thank God for the dynamism that we are having in the workplace today. We need to improve our equipment. We need to close gaps that force staff to improvise. If today I am telling somebody who is working at high that I want you to use hard hat, I have worked in a workplace where I immediately after the COVID, the employee have to use nose masks and he has to use safety goggles. Now, the employee will be breathing out of the nose mask and the safety goggles will be clouding the eyes. So the essence of using the nose mask is because of COVID. So now, if you are not in public, you can take off your nose mask and have a clear eye and walk. Don't remove your goggle because you're walking in a place, we call the place RGB, that's returnable glass bottle. And if that glass bottle break or burst, it can splash into your eyes and it can damage the eyeballs. So we look close gaps that actually force staff to improvise. So instead of them to improvise, we look for what is workable. Let's not stay up there and create policy that the people that we implement those policy finds it difficult. Then I call another one modeling. Modeling. Uh, Whatever policy we are developing, there should not be an exception. Let's equip them with communication tools as well. Let's train them in coaching, and then we model the policies we are developing. I have seen instances where policy are developed, and let me give an instance. You cannot come into this particular place without putting on your minimum PPE, your hard hat, your reflective jacket, and your safety boot. And you see the manager going into the shop floor without the hard hat. Why? Because because he is a manager or because he's a top management. So some of these things are actually things that can be used in order to curb most of the silent killer. Thank you very much.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm very grateful to both of you for honoring this invitation. To be honest, it's something that I believe I will have been personally robbed of. And I'm going to go back to watch this video again and again there was a long list of interventions that Segun had listed. I think the very first one you talked about, we lost a bit of the detail there because your network was breaking. But I'm sure we would. I think it was about was it confidentiality? You tried to talk about at the beginning.
Fear. I did talk about fear.
Yes, at the beginning. So we lost a bit of that. Do you want to say it in a few seconds what you were trying to emphasize there?
Okay, so I said I did talk about fear because I think I said Olushola actually mentioned it earlier that we need to develop when people have confidence in what they say. We need to develop a system where people can report issues without fear and where they can report issues that their name will not be attached. So I said earlier that Olushola has mentioned one that they talk about having a third party where people can actually, because most of these third parties, when issues are reported to them, they escalate it without mentioning the person's name, the reporter's name. So it is reported as an anonymous, or we get a Dropbox or mailbox or suggestion box where people can actually just drop suggestions. So this ensures that even if an employee fears their manager, the silent killer can still be reported and be addressed without their names being mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I mean, normally we'll stay here for about an hour, 30 minutes, and we are almost 9 minutes into it. And I want to see if we can still make it. It's time to ask a few questions. And I think we have one on the floor already. Omar, you had sent in your question earlier on. Maybe I'll just throw that question straight to woman to woman. So I'll just throw it straight to Shola. You said, how about if the killers are not silent? In some organizations, some managers are toxic and everyone knows about it, but the organization can't let them go because of their massive results. And some companies intentionally choosing between high-performing leaders and toxic cultures. Both of you will answer, but let's start with the woman's perspective from Shola. What do you see?
So the organization obviously has a culture where they enable a toxic environment. So the organization is toxic. Let's just say that. Because if you have leaders who are toxic and the organization is also enabling that culture, then the organization itself is toxic. They're not being held accountable. As Olusegun mentioned, some people know that these are the required PPEs to wear, but they feel I'm the boss. I can get away with it. They don't have an internal control compliance department that will hold them accountable, not looking at their strata or their levels. However, it's also important for you to understand the reason why you're there. Can you cope? I think it's you need to sit down, because some people thrive in toxic environments. They'll tell you, yeah, no problem. My skin is thick for it. I can handle it. Some people can. Dr. Lumio, I've worked with people that have worked in environments and they say yes, that they can handle it. But if you have to be genuine to yourself, is this impacting you psychologically? Is it impacting you emotionally? Can you work? Are you losing yourself? I've worked in an organization where even sending an email, I will have to question myself 1,000,001 times because of the level of toxicity I had gotten into. And I had to genuinely sit myself down to tell myself, you're not in a good place. You're not thriving. You need to make a tough call. You have to make a decision. Do you want to exit, or do you want to stay here and lose yourself? So you need to ask yourself this question. Are you becoming better in that environment? If the answer is no, then you need to start planning your exit, especially if you're not the stakeholder, you're not part of the board members or the directors that will call the shots and make decisions. If you've made your complaints, if you've sent emails, if you've gone to the channels where you can report this and nothing has been done, I will advise you genuinely plan your exit to an organization where you will have a more thriving environment, where you will learn, where you will grow, and where you will be heard. Because really, we need to look at it both ways. If you can't thrive in it, then you need to exit. However, please ensure that you've explored all options of going through the channels, stating your own concerns, and doing that, because you do it for the future. It might not take place during your time, but somebody might take note of that and then deep dive deeper and hold people accountable. So please ensure that you explore those routes. However, please, your mental state, your psychological state is really important, because some people lose themselves. They are high flyers. They meet leaders who just go and just kill everything about them. They second guess themselves, and then they become a mirror in something different from where they are. And we don't want that for you. So please genuinely just have that self-assessment. Am I thriving in this environment? Am I adding value to myself? Am I becoming more? Am I becoming better? Or am I losing me? And if you've gotten to that part where your emotional and mental state is being questioned, please, we have amazing people here. Connect with them. Let them know that, yes, you're planning to exit. And please look for somewhere where you will thrive and be better. But please ensure that you communicate and share within the communication channel, whistleblowing and all. But if nothing is being done, I would advise you leave, please.
Shola, please drop your LinkedIn profile, your LinkedIn page in chat. It looks like you're going to have a number of people coming right after now to say, hey, that was a good thought. I'd like to connect with you. I'm very excited that I have you in my corner. Thank you that you're within my network. I'm richer because of people like you. Shegu, what do you think she should do? What do you think she should do? Organizations that protect people because they are performers. They tolerate nonsense behavior, toxic behaviors, because these guys are performers. Just a very short word, because we want to finish in time. Yes.
Yeah. So I won't say much, because Olushola have actually said virtually everything. But what I am going to say is because nobody has been used as a scapegoat. That is why people do what they do. Now, you see, there's this general saying that they say in the workplace, if you can't beat them, you join them. So, and if that slogan is not changed, then it becomes a difficult thing for the workplace. I saw the way you reacted when Olushola was saying that there are people that strive in the workplace, in a toxic workplace. Yes, these people strive, but they become an hazard when they have a change of workplace, because their mindset will have been formed in the format of striving. So when they find themselves in a new place, they want to bring what they have imputed in them, and they want to release it in the new workplace. So the best thing is to get someone to use as an example, and everybody will sit up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let me thank both of you. I'm going to call you one more time to give a final word. But I also like to specially recognize one of our previous speakers also. He was once a speaker on this Workplace Conversation. Taiwo Olajide, he's the HR manager at Seve or Pan-African Catering Services. They are primarily an in-flight catering services company. And Taiwo has been a very kind person to us at Nathan Lidgate and at Workplace Conversations. Taiwo, good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Doctor.
Taiwo is the one Taiwo is the one, for my friends in Port Harcourt, that I just taught Shakumaku. I taught you a few days ago, Shakumaku. Taiwo was the one that taught me. Yes. So when you say Shakumaku, Emilia, how do you respond? Shakumaku. Let me see which of my friends in Port Harcourt remembers that response. Shakumaku. Nobody can remember. Oh my God.
Makushi.
Makushi. Makushi, yeah. That's Peace. Thank you, Peace. You remember. Taiwo, so you have won some new converts in Port Harcourt.
Give me royalties now, Doctor.
And I can remember, someone is saying I only remember Yala Yala. So Emilia only remembers Yala Yala. So that's Taiwo. He was the one that inducted me into Shakumaku Maku. So Shakumaku means what's up. Shakumaku means what's up. For those of you who are hearing it for the very first time. So the caller says Shakumaku and the responder says Makushi. Makushi means nothing much. Okay? And then Yala Yala means, oh, that's nice, that's great. You know, more like a closeout. So when I say Shakumaku, what do you say? Makushi.
Makushi.
Let's try it. Everybody unmute your mics and I'll say Shakumaku so that we can try to close tonight. Shakumaku.
Makuchi.
Yala yolo.
Yala
Shakumaku. Yala yolo.
Thank you, everyone. And let's just close out. Let's just close out so that we can all go and have a good night rest. I have a few announcements to make, and it's an invitation. I want to invite you to our next edition. Somebody has just asked in the chat that when next is this? Is this going to be the end of this event? No, it is not the end. It is not the end. So but this is the end of Workplace Conversation for 2025. It's the last edition, and I'm grateful to Shola and Shegun for being the last set of panelists for the year. You have closed out the year for us in a very good way. Come November, there's still an event this November, and it's called Becoming a Consultant to Kings: How to Solve Problems for People with Influence. Joshua is going to drop a link in the chat for anyone who's interested. We're going to do a poll. We're going to check through Workplace Conversations 1.0 to 9.0, maybe the top 3 or the top 2, depending on how many people we find that have been greatly consistent in attending all our events for the year. You'll get a free ticket to attend. So if you have not been coming for Workplace Conversation, well, you may miss out on this one, but you have an opportunity to register. It's not so expensive. We're having 2 panelists. Architect Benga Alalade is the principal director and the lead architect of the ARC project, ARC Legacy Project. That project is the 100,000 church auditorium of the Winners Chapel. And we want to hear from that man, how he's been working with a man like Bishop Oyedepo for, Benga has been there now since 2008 for about 17 years. How do you work? How are you solving problems for that kind of man? That kind of man with the influence, how are you solving problems for him? We want to hear from him. He's going to be speaking that evening on that day. It's going to be 8 p.m. It's not 3 p.m. Forgive us for that. It's an evening program. It's an evening program. We do it right after work hours that day. The second panelist and speaker for that evening is Omotola Ayodeji. Omotola is a retail consultant and brand communication manager. He works with a lot of artists, music artists, those in the entertainment sector that have great following. They have great following. And these people also have problems. How do you solve problems with these people that have a large followers, people with 2 million followers, 4 million followers? And they've got great influence. One word from them can change the narrative of certain things. And Slasher, we call him, has been very keen on those kind of things. And he'll be on the platform, Becoming a Consultant to Kings. I'm inviting you to join them. I'll be there again to host them. That's my own job, to learn from people that know, so that I can go and use their knowledge to shine elsewhere. So I want to say thank you as we close. Final reflections, Shola. Final word from you as we close.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Dumi, and thank you everyone for staying from the beginning till now. I hope the conversation was quite rewarding and engaging. I think Olusegun mentioned, and he talked about modeling. I think it's important for us as leaders as well to ensure that we're modeling what we want every other person to do. It's important for us to also be accountable to others. Because a lot of times when they say people don't leave organizations, they leave people. So we have policies, we have all that on ground, but we also need to be the one to embody the right culture. And it's also important for us to lead from a human-centered perspective. And it's not, I heard someone say last week, it's not only about the outcome, but also think of the impact. So it's important for us to deliberately think through the process, ensure that we have the buy-in of others. And let's also explain, let's understand the gaps we have, close those gaps, and look at ways to make sure that people who we work with thrive where they are. And if you feel that they are not thriving, let's find other alternatives to plug in their skills, their competencies with, so that they become better people. So at the long run, we are also making an impact for the organization, ourselves, and for the people. So it's important for us to be accountable as well. Let's also lead with a heart of for the people that we're leading, and also be accountable to them as well. I think that just will wrap it up for me, so that we're not toxic leaders, but we're enablers and make the culture thrive for others. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Shola. Segun, you've not dropped your LinkedIn profile in the chat. I think you should, as you bring your final reflections.
Okay. Thank you very much, Doctor, for the opportunity to join the panelists today. I appreciate it. So my final thought is just the near miss that is not reported today will become an accident tomorrow. As leaders, we must create an environment where most least person that you think in the organization feels safe enough to stop the most senior person when they see a problem. That is the only way, or one of the ways, that I feel that silent killers can be killed. Leaders must create environment where the most least person feels safe enough to stop the work that the most senior person is doing when he sees a problem. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Shola. Thank you, Segun. And thank you all for joining Workplace Conversations 9.0. We have learned tonight that culture is not destroyed by dramatic events, by near misses, small, unspoken practices that accumulate over time. Yet, like all our panelists have said, these practices can be diagnosed, it can be disrupted, and it can be replaced by healthier norms. So for you all, as you return to your workplaces tomorrow, I challenge you to ask questions. What is the silent killer in my culture that I must name and dismantle this week? What is the silent killer in my culture that I must name and dismantle this week? Joshua has been kind to help drop a number of links on the chat. If you look into the chat, there are a number of links there. Please just click on it before you leave this meeting room. Just click on it. You'll find my website listed there. My YouTube page is there. I think I've got about 1,000 videos that you can take advantage of. You can also go on my LinkedIn pages. There are many articles there you can draw. And then if you want to catch up on the previous episodes of Workplace Conversation, it is also there in the chat. Again, thank you, Joshua, for dropping the link to becoming a consultant to Kings. If you're interested in joining us for that event, please ensure that you register. Having said that, thank you, everyone. This has been Workplace Conversations 9.0. Good evening, and see you at the event of Becoming a Consultant to Kings. Bye-bye, everyone. Good night.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right, people. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.